Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Clemmons. I'm Washington editor-at-large of The Atlantic. It's a real pleasure to be here. The Atlantic works closely with the Aspen Institute of the Aspen Ideas Festival in Aspen, Colorado. And this is a different venture, but I am just so thrilled that they allowed me to come back to Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi I love, to talk about a very wonky but interesting subject, which is getting beyond the GDP. And I think that we have a great lineup of 4 speakers. We hope to involve all of you in that discussion. And this could go a lot of different directions. I mean, most of the 4 speakers that we have are deeply depressing, the 4 people we have. And I'm going to try to be the humorous guy. We'll use all of you to kind of, as foils. Stephen, you may be the only funny guy in the panel. We'll have to check that out. But what I wanted to say is I thought a lot about this in the sense that when I was involved with helping to co-found a think tank in Washington called the New America Foundation, one of my partners in that was a gentleman named Ted Halstead. Ted wrote a piece for The Atlantic. I wasn't involved in The Atlantic then. Said, if the GDP is up, so up, why is America so down? And this was a major cover story, but it began to get at this notion that the gross domestic product wasn't really looking at lots of other issues and measures about human welfare, about how people saw their futures, the cynicism that was beginning to build. And of course, this was, I think, in the mid-1990s, and it was really at the point where we were beginning to look more and more at it looked like an equation of inequality building in the country. He went on to build an organization called Redefining Progress, that honestly, I think, never fixed the problem and sort of failed, in my view, to sort of help build a broader consensus about this. But it is interesting, and you saw other things grow out of this, like efforts to begin looking at the gross happiness index, or to begin looking at other measures that might capture period. So there's a lot of fads that have come and gone in this area. I was always interested in the kind of Jeremy Bentham line that happiness is a function of relative deprivation, which made you think as long as we didn't expose people to kind of better opportunities and what the wired world sort of created open doors for certain bleak places. Some of these bleak places were relatively happy and content before, in fact, the internet came along and began exposing them. Now, you can look at the morality of that, but it is a very interesting function that to some degree, the 2 or 3 billion people that are not part of the wired, interconnected world had different gravity that was operating around the way they saw themselves, their aspirations, and their future. And I think we're going to get at some of that today. I also think, let me just read this really terrific first paragraph, because I was thinking about it this morning, found this in The Economist today. Ran in 2016 about how to measure prosperity, and it says, which would you prefer to be, a medieval monarch or a modern office worker? The king has armies of servants, he wears the finest silks and eats the richest foods, but he is also a martyr to a toothache. He is prone to fatal infections. It takes him a week by carriage to travel between palaces, and he's tired of listening to the same gestures. Life as a 21st century office drone looks more appealing once you think about modern dentistry, antibiotics, air travel, smartphones, and YouTube. And I just love that capture, because it takes me to really my first guest this morning, Stephen Dubner, who is just a wonderful journalist, award-winning journalist, radio, TV personality, who co-authored the book Freakonomics. A rogue economist explores the hidden side of everything. And it sounds to me like that beginning paragraph of The Economist is sort of, a similar take. I won't get into the, well, I guess I could. I mean, we're in Abu Dhabi. Why not just lay it out? I went onto the website this morning. You need to go on the Freakonomics website, because it's an amazing roster of the most provocative, weird, backdoor ideas. And I guess I won't name the title of one, but it's just a fascinating roster. It's a little crude, so I won't do that to all of you here, though I really want to, but we can get into crude stuff later, or I can let him go down that way. Stephen is also the producer of a fantastic new series podcast called Tell Me Something I Don't Know, and I've asked him to come in and help, basically help set the frame today for getting us to think on the things that we're not thinking about when it comes to measuring progress, thinking about GDP, thinking about how we're all connected in ways that we may not be aware of now. Because when you do look, and I don't want to make this a US-centric session or even a European session, but when you look all around the world today, including here, something is going on, I think, everywhere in the world where there's an uncertainty, there's a tension, there's a feeling that lots of others are doing better, there's a sense of kind of pugnacious nationalism raising in certain places, and I think it's making us kind of question the glue and the aspirations and the way things used to work. Thank you.